I will begin with the, I know I have to talk about the Vajra, but before that, because this ingredient I was talking about, like the wisdom and method, this is really something I have been noticing, because for the traditional Buddhists, they sort of take for granted and they just, and then they get so hijacked by their culture and their, yes, the culture, ritual, and then the people who are now beginning to enter into Buddha Dharma, probably they may be impressed with wisdom aspects such as shunyata, interdependent, like dependent arising, stuff like this. And because ritual is something alien, which is not understandable, especially the ritual that is being sort of imposed upon you is so alien, then there's a lot of gap. And anyway, just for the sake of the path, you know, this wisdom and method is such an important thing to keep in the mind, not just actually for the path, actually for life. I have said this somewhere, I don't remember, several times, you know, it's actually very ingrained in the ancient Indian wisdom tradition. I'm now forgetting all the proper terms. So it goes something like this, like in order to have a proper sort of life, so to speak, you need to have artha, right? Artha, which is like wealth. Or actually, okay, can someone remind me? Kama, artha, dharma, and maya, right? Moksha, right? Moksha. There, they know this. So this out of this four, like karma, you know, we need to have a lot of fun. This is my understanding. Also, these things are also translated into many of the Tibetan sort of literature. Karma, we need to have fun. Whatever it means, different, you know, for different people, it means different. For what is meant by fun for Jeff Bezos and Jigme Ringpa is different. But anyway, you need fun. And in order to have fun, you need artha, wealth, you know, means. I guess something like this, means money, gold, silver, I don't know, Bitcoin. And then for that you need some sort of a discipline. In this case, the Dharma, I guess you can, like the method, discipline. You have to have a discipline. These three, I guess, broadly I can say, is taught in business schools like Harvard. They do it very well. It's the last one. And I would say in our context here, sadhana, out of these four, the last one is the wisdom-oriented. The three are the earlier ones are sort of the method. Well, I guess you can say kamma is like almost like the goal. But anyway, the last one is what is never taught. Moksha, right? Basically, it's basically talking about, okay, you need a fund, you need money to have that, and you need discipline. But the fourth one is saying they are all actually, you need to be liberated from these three. You know, they are all illusion. That is an amazing life strategy. And it's a very important, it actually ended up becoming important. I've been reading definitely so many stories in India, and actually in China I was noticing this. The ancient successful king, queen, you know, they have this tradition of going to a forest, you know, like renounce from their post. So the hermitage tradition, sannyasin, you know, like vanaprastham, right? You know, that kind of. And actually, I'm maybe going a little bit sideways, but there's even also 4 different stages that the Indians talk. And they're very, very good. They're really interesting. It's something that India should really revoke, I feel. Don't worry, I'm not paid by Modi. This is, yeah, it's just so beautiful. I think, you know, that's, I think, what do you call it? The student stage? What do you call it? Brahmacharya. And then householder, right? And then forest dweller. And then sannyasin. See, very interesting. You know, this is how I'm interpreting, because I have a Buddhist influence. There's the forest dwelling, which for a lot of people, maybe that is a renunciation, but it's not. You need to even renounce forest dwelling. So actually, I was reading some of the ancient Chinese, like the big rulers, they become really a good leader when they went through all this hermitage renunciation, and then they come back. I guess they have nothing, no agenda, nothing to lose, and they are the greatest leaders. I'm just giving you this as an example. This not really balancing, actually, I shouldn't say balancing the wisdom and method, no. Sort of uniting is maybe the right word, but also, strictly speaking, they are also not really too separate. Wisdom is the method is wisdom, so on and so forth. But it's also a little complicated. You know, last night, the question, we will address this. You know, it has a lot to do with this. It's a lot to do with method hijacking everything, the spiritual path, and the wisdom being forgotten. And and this is why in the Tantra, actually in the Tantra's root vow, the last one, in fact, is if you are demeaning or looking down at women, you are breaking the vow, root vow, not even sort of the side vows. In the sadhana, okay, so practically speaking, sadhana, when you are practicing sadhana, you can check yourself how much you are being hijacked by so-called your very tiny, weeny, intellectual, academical wisdom, or how much you are being hijacked by fussy, this meticulous, control freak kind of method oriented on that day. So let's say we are going to do a Tara Puja. Let's say we are going to do Tara Puja in Lucknow train station, just because we need to do. There's no water, no flower, and then if you think, we need water, we need flowers, because Tara Puja requires that. Now there's no flower, no water, okay, forget it, puja, no need, because there's no water. Then you are being hijacked by being, what do you call it, method, culture, ritual. So, at the same time, I think you know the example. If you also, I don't know, you're just lazy, maybe, and you are stingy, lazy, lethargic, just don't want to get out from your bed. Oh, it doesn't matter, flowers an illusion, water is an illusion, preparation is an illusion, Tara is an illusion, I'm an illusion, practice is an illusion, no need to even do it. You can go there, but that's being, you are intellectual, tiny, small, this very academical, intellectual wisdom damaging your path. So important to know this one, this path. In all Buddhism, as I've told you, I had a very good discussion, like this with many, Vietnamese monks and Theravadan monks in Sri Lanka. So this is a big one. It should always be your guiding sort of or guiding, I don't know, light, or this should always be your principle, so-called practice. This, you need this too, wisdom and tattang sherap. So sitting straight is a method, but if you are born crooked, does that mean that you have no chance for the enlightenment? No. You have a different method, you can apply different method. In the Tantra, most of the 80 Mahasiddhas, I don't think they sit straight. They're always doing something, like squeezing oil from sesame, or being a bouncer in a red light district, and stuff like this. Or lying, some of them. All they do is lie. So like shrines, all that. Also, this is important. As someone who has taken the, refuge, and also especially taken refuge, if you have taken the Bodhisattva vow, not to, upset or not to damage, not to sort of ruin the perception of others. Very important. once took a long flight from Auckland to San Francisco, so long. So I had to do my daily sadhanas. And in the paths, there's all the protectors, mahakalas. In Tibetan, we offer tea, alcohol. So somehow in the plane, the stewards, air hostesses, they somehow knew that I was Buddhist. I don't know how. But I made a mistake by ordering champagne, wine, and of course not drink, and ask them to please throw somewhere, like in their sink. Really wrong. Because by the time I was arriving in San Francisco, their attitude towards me was a little different. This Buddhist orders all this, not to drink, maybe gone wrong. So, wisdom and method, always balancing, so important. This, especially for Buddhists, this is important, and especially if you have, if you are sharing room, or if your partner happen to be, I don't know, some very easily annoyed atheist or scientist or other religion, or I don't know. No need to display all your shrine and devotion and tears and sound of the mantras. No need. I was in Malaysia, and for some reason, some Egyptian and Qatari people came to see me. They were kind of interested in Buddhist philosophy, I guess. They're really good, brilliant people, young, really. But, they come from Islamic tradition. All the way, they flew from Middle East. So one day we were having lunch, and one of my friend, Rinpoche, who is a total vegetarian, he's a vegan, so strong in vegetarian. And not only he is vegetarian, he actually, whoever he meets, he somehow ends up telling them to be vegetarian. Somehow. So just as we were having the dinner, just the beginning, we received this call that this Rinpoche is coming. So I had to actually call Rinpoche, okay, you can come, but please make a promise. Don't talk about vegetarianism. He said, okay. Because here I was thinking, Middle East is one place there is not much of a Buddha Dharma. Oh, by the way, it's very encouraging that 84,000 translation. There's so many Middle East, even Africa, people actually go into reading room. That's really encouraging. Okay, Vajra. So Vajra comes as a symbol many times, especially in the sadhana, visualizing the Vajra. And also we use as a tool, you may have noticed, There's a bell and a Vajra. Vajra, the word Vajra, Dorje, the definition of the Vajra is something like Miche. In Tibetan we call it Miche, meaning sort of unsplittable. You cannot split. It's like the sky. You cannot split. You can sort of imagine you are splitting, like east, west, south, north, but you cannot split. And also, because it's unsplittable, that's why it's indestructible, because it cannot be split. This Vajra, indestructible. And this is none other than the quintessence of your mind. Well, according to generally Buddhism, especially in the Tantra. And we talked about that yesterday. Try to split your mind. It's impossible. The essence. This cognizance. But now here, this is the complicated part. This unsplittable, indestructible mind is not like some one unit, one single entity sitting somewhere inside you. Like direction of the sky, even though it doesn't have direction, I told you this, it cannot be splitted. The different hue, nuances, display is unceasing. You know, it's manifesting all the time. Even if you sit here, very soon we will have a thought, and that thought will also dissolve. And then the next thought, unceasingly. And then, let's say if you are not doing something like a shamatha vipassana, you may end up not sort of reining them, or not. Control is maybe not the right word, but anyway, they go wild. But it doesn't matter whether they go wild or not, they all come, arise, if you like the word arise, abide and cease within this unsplittable nature of your mind. But if you happen to choose a thought, and if you give an importance to this thought, or if you get entangled, then they become so-called emotions, and then the emotions creates karma, and the karma creates a result, and then the whole samsara begins. This is actually quite well depicted also by the substance, the actual what we call Vajra. Although there are many different kinds of Vajra. There's a one-spoke Vajra, three-spoke Vajra, five-spoke Vajra, nine-spoke Vajra. each has many different explanations. But I think, anyway, so in the sadhana, because you see, okay, so there's a choice, okay, so if you can just dwell on that state of unfabricated, undistracted, that is the Vajra. But for most of the beginners, it's difficult for them to even fathom, even to understand intellectually, because it's something so deep and very, probably for a lot of people, it's vague. It doesn't have to be actually. If you can do a little bit of shamatha vipassana, you would understand. But anyway, for a lot of people, it's vague. And a lot of people don't have most of us, we like reference. Reference is probably the most hard to beat challenges. Remember in the vipassana also is the dwelling on body, sort of dwelling or focusing on body, and then the feeling, and then the mind, and then there's something called dharma, which is basically reference, I would say. We love reference. Reference is so important. Losing the reference is the biggest fear. But sometimes we also deliberately, voluntarily want to lose a little bit of a reference. Therefore, alcohol, drugs, because you are too tired with the reference, such as well-behaved, polite, I don't know, shy. So, no confidence. Then you drink alcohol. It helps you sort of undo some reference. But generally, we like success, morality, ethics. These are all reference. We can't do without reference. So, as I said yesterday, lotus, and then especially here in this case, actually sometimes the lotus is the most essential reference in some sadhanas, but anyway, Vajra, another one, a big one, reference. So there is a whole, you can visualize the Vajra if there is in the sadhana. Some sadhanas don't have. Then that doesn't mean that there's something missing in the sadhana. Just some are very long sadhana, some are short. Okay, so then there's the Vajra of different color. Then, okay, so somebody asked me about letter seed letter. So that's an important one again. So now we are going more subtle, more refined. Remember yesterday we talked about solid food and eatable, digestible food by babies. So we are now talking more and more solid. Vajra, quite solid, but even more solid, more higher class, so to speak, food, or the path is the sit syllable, that bam, Om. Okay, this is a very big subject, something to, letter, seed syllable and the source of the mantras and all of that. We don't have time, and also maybe not so, practical for now. But anyway, just briefly. There is a world of body, world of speech, and world of mind. It also gets sometimes reflected as kama dhatu, desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. Sometimes, sorry, all this jargon, but you have to go through this a little bit. But I'll try to make it sort of easy to understand for beginners. You have body, you have speech, and you have mind. Body is the most tangible, most accessible. You can see it, you can weigh, you can touch. When you say me, I, you are usually referring to, according to Tantra, these three, body, speech, and mind. Out of that body, the most tangible, you are there, I'm here. Measurable, countable, weighable, recognizable, okay? And that's you. And, okay, now the next one is the speech. That actually is even more powerful than the body, but it is less tangible. You can hear, or you can, but speech is not just the sound, but let's just dwell in there for now. Speech is, it has no form, it has just the sound. But it's so powerful, so much the world of reference is there. Education, information, communication. But that's more gross level. Actually, when the Tantra talks about speech, Tantra is talking more about emotion. Even like sighing, like that has some message. That's a communication. Yes, it's a big one. Okay, now as you are a human being, I can't talk about the prana, prana in an accessible way. General human beings. Of course, if you are dedicated tantric students, we can talk about prana. But there's something we can talk, which is very related to prana. What is it? Language, English, Tibetan, Hindi, Urdu, all this. This is one of the most vicious, powerful flow of prana. Of course. I can say something which could upset you forever, right this very moment. The words, the language, that, we can talk about this. And I'm quite I get obsessed and I'm kind of passionate about this, the language. And it's really visibly, really, what is it? Changing the world. Wow, it's going to change so much more. I mean, where do we go? I have to tell this. All the other people, please excuse, but I have to tease some of these Indians. When Modi wins, I want to tell him, please ban Google, Facebook, create India's own search Google or search machine. I'm talking about prana, by the way. Because at the moment, millions of Indians are reading and interpretation, words, language. You understand? I know. All the liberals, I'm sure you are already like wanting to say something, but this is very important. Really, really important. Of course, yeah, CEO of Google is maybe Indians, and maybe the Indians are very proud of it, but actually they should not be. This is changing the world. But who cares if there's a changes in the world? It's a samsara anyway. But I would rather want to have letter tam intact, bum intact, hung intact. Not defined by a certain prana and This is a really, really big subject. Important also. It really creates also things, like different phenomena. Very likely in United States, things will be defined more by the Spanish prana. Especially Los Angeles, San Francisco, Hispanic prana. It's very possible. And then it actually is connected to a lot of things, concept of beauty, concept of, and then it changes the values also. But I guess, hopefully, you have a vague picture of the importance of letter, information, source of communication. Letter, I guess, letter. So, this is why, not just Buddhists actually, the Vedic culture of India, they have from really long time people, they really, really just knew this. So they talk about things like Brahmanada, the sort of the original sound and all of that. I'm just throwing all these things just as a reference. It's a very, very important, like if you are a follower of a Tara Sadhana, letter tam. Yes, letter tam is that froth on the cappuccino. Letter tam is everything. Letter tam is that sugar. Letter tam is that onion. I don't know, everything. I don't know how to say this, but it is the source of. And anyway, let me finish. Body being the most tangible, weighable, is the most visible, but lesser power than sound, speech. Even though speech, and then speech is not, it's still measurable, but the most powerful is the mind world. Cannot see, you cannot measure. So imagine when these three dominate you, this is the most tangible, most visible, most weighable, lesser one, and the least one, but the most powerful, these three. And most of us in this world, we pay most of attention to the body because, understandable, it's the most visible, You don't have a fashion shop or a pedicure, manicure shop for third one. Well, maybe some mindfulness centers. You understand? Third one. And for some reason, the second one, I never see. Maybe some music school, especially those, I don't know. I'm just saying this. But anyway, these three are important. But, okay. So, letter Sid syllable. See, Sid syllable is quite an interesting because it has a form, a shape. So it has a little bit of a body. And then it has a sound like a ah, like a hum. Then it is created by mind. So the three things. So anyway, this is probably, you could say, the last remaining digestible, soluble, chewable deity. After the Sid syllable, if you want the absolute deity, then I've already told you, it's not this, just unfabricated state of mind. But in the sadhana, we practice almost the opposite. We remain in this Sid syllable for as much as you can, and then rise yourself as the deity. Let's say Tara. I'm using the Tara just because I myself am familiar. I do the Tara sadhana a lot. So you rise as the Tara. And then our masters have told us, yes, you should really visualize yourself with all the details, the crown, the jewels, the earring, the hand, the gesture, the look, the color, all of that. But at the same time, sometimes then they will say, oh no, confidence is more important than all these details. See, wisdom and method, again, really uniting. Something that you need to remember this. There's many sadhana practitioners, they say, oh, I cannot, I can't, when I think about think of the face, I forget feet. When I think about earring, I forget about lotus. Forget the mandala sadhana. Think about yourself right now for a moment. You can't have a clear picture of yourself even now, about you. Think about your nose. Okay, let's just choose one. Even that you don't have a clear picture. Just one vague. But you still have a solid fixation towards this. So, for the deity practitioner, sadhana practitioner, confidence of being that deity is more important. So this is why actually the masters have always discouraged us to look at paintings of the statues, because more likely you are visualizing yourself as those statues or the paintings. That's really, not so good, because you don't have the back, you don't have the, you don't blink, nothing, it's just frozen, mud or a stone or a gold or silver. But I guess for some people it can be the source of inspiration. So again, don't discard the method. By all means, get a Tara painting, download a Tara picture. If it inspires you, have to do it. Anyway, the deity, being in that state of deity, that is the most important aspect of the sadhana, remaining in that deity state. Even though, especially for the beginners, even if you feel like you are just make-believing, it's fine. If you think about yourself, whoever you are just make-believing it anyway. It just become a solid habit. So you think whoever you are, you think that's you. Vajra confidence is this. In order to boost this confidence, to strengthen this confidence, sadhana have few, few steps, such as invocation of Janana Sattva, they call it. Because as an ignorant, defiled student, one can't help but think that, okay, I'm a Tara, but I know I'm not. Like you are struggling. So it helps. Oh, please, Bhagavati, come from, Potalab or wherever, the Buddha field, with all your retinue, come dissolve into me. It helps. Things like that. There's a few steps you will notice in the sadhana. And many times, even receive abhisheka from the 5 Buddha family, sort of strengthening being the deity even better and stronger. You have sort of insert the real one from the Buddha field. Now there's the 5 Buddha and many other Buddhas, they have even poured water and said, yes, you are Tara. So there's that. Still, of course, you are not going to remain in the state of that, because you will still forget and you will still condemn yourself as an ordinary being. There's still more. Offerings. Argam, Padyam, like offerings, like water, drinking, flowers. Who are you making this offering to? To yourself. Why? To confirm yourself as a deity. But I know this is difficult, because the action in our cultural action, we usually put those offerings somewhere up in front of you, and then I don't think there's ever an instructions that as you do the argam, you drink the, offering from the offering bowl. So these things will always clash. The Tibetan setup, not just Tibetan actually, the setup will always make you feel the deities out there. Oh, by the way, there are some sadhanas where you not only visualize yourself as a deity, there's also front visualization. But the main purpose is to boost the confidence of being the, yourself as a deity. So, remaining with this pride of being a deity. Oh, after the offering comes praise. Praise how beautiful you are, how great you are, how omniscient you are. Again, it's praise to yourself. Especially, I'm talking about the Anuyoga Tantra. If it is a Kriya Tantra, then usually little different, because the deity is outside. To yourself, yes. But if you pay attention to many of these praises, you will realize within the praises, it may begin with, your beauty of your physical appearance, the melody of your speech, all of that, the usual worldly qualities seemingly. But it always ends up with a wisdom aspect of the quality of this deity, which is neither physical nor sound. And then usually followed by mantra, a recitation. This is like this chanting the mantra in again, it's a method, having a lot of purpose, sort of okay. The purpose for a bodhisattva is to enlighten others, awakening others. But also, purpose of a practitioner is to receive blessing. During the mantra recitation, almost always you do that, such as chanting the mantra, emanating light from the seed syllable if there is, or from your body, going to 10 directions, pacifying the suffering of all sentient beings. In fact, turning them into also the deity. Then again the light, emanating light, the light goes to 10 directions, make offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Light coming back, dissolving to you, especially in the seed syllable. Well, according to Tantra, it is believed that it takes 3 countless eons to benefit, to accumulate merit in the Mahayana. According to Tantra, all these 3 countless eons activity and the Bodhisattva, accumulation can be done while sitting comfortably without needing to do any penance, just reciting the mantra and sending the light back and forth. You accomplish all the things that gets accomplished in the Mahayana. Okay, maybe I'll let you ask some question, or is it a tea break? Some questions? Okay. Because there's so many details and before they forget, maybe.
This is a question that's an intersection about seed syllable and language. If we have difficulty visualizing the seed syllable, say tum, can we visualize tum, say in English?
Yes.
And use that?
Very much, because that is your habitual pattern. We are only trying to, dismantle the habit. You don't need to add a new habit.
Thank you, Rinpoche. I want to ask, if we don't have empowerment, like I do Tara Sadhana, but I visualize her on my crown or in my heart, so I get really stuck with the visualization when you were saying right now, and I was trying to do along, to light going out, light coming in, and the dissolution part. So someone who has not received it, but yet is practicing, can you share how to gain more confidence?
I think do many times but short time. This is the most practical advice I can give you now. And then, as I said earlier, concentrate more on this confidence of being the deity rather than the details.
But without empowerment, we cannot visualize ourselves as deity.
Yes, well, that's according to the tantric sort of rule. So maybe you should get an empowerment. But you can just visualize on the top of, as you said, that you can.
Okay, thank you.
Rinpoche, I've got this question about the charya. Could you say something about how the charya helps visualizing the deity or getting closer to the deity?
Very obvious. Act like one, eat like one, drink like one. So that's what you are doing, really performing. I think you guys should do a charya retreat, just yourself, alone, dance whole day, no audience. That is the whole purpose, because you are supposed to think that's who you are. People do that. It's just like the most outer form of the charya, I would say, is something like a statue. The whole purpose of the statue or the painting is to remind yourself as a deity. And this gesture is just that. It's just much more intense and much more personal, much more innate. Okay? Yes.
Yes, Rinpoche. What is the role of the palace in the sadhana?
Which one?
The palace? From the sixth level.
Oh, the palace. Okay. This is a big one, so okay, easy first. Palace, right? Palace, you said? The first, just very easily, very short answer. Just because we love reference and the house, dwelling, address, 10 Downing Street. Important. Really, just that. But let's just, let me explain to you a little bit more. It's a little complicated, this one, but something maybe you might want to know, because sadhana practice is also how should I put this one? Especially Anuyoga Tantra. Sadhana practice is should I put this? Okay, let me put this one. Okay. Every moment there is a death. And therefore, every moment there is also a birth. Just keep that in your head. Okay? Now, this is every moment, like even now. Now, the big death. When we die, all the sense and sense objects and all of this dissolves. And then actually, supposedly, you arrive or you touch this luminosity. But ordinary people will be frightened by this luminosity because this is the most referenceless. You just don't, it's something, but you don't know what it is, kind of thing. You understand? And that is the defilement of not knowing what we call dharmata. In order to defeat or purify that defilement, already, to get used to, already we get used to this, like Om Mahashunyata Janavandha Sabhavaya Makyohang, and then stay in the emptiness and the luminosity as much as you can. So you get familiar with that state. So this is what Jigme Lingpa said, like a baby sheep or baby calf, whatever. You can separate them from the mother. Like let's say there's many cows and then maybe one baby. You separate them for a few hours and then you let them go. And then the baby will go to the mother. They all look similar, the cows, but doesn't, they know straight to the mother. Likewise, if you keep on doing this Shunyata practice again and again, luminosity, whatever you want to call it, again and again and again, this is the baby luminosity. Then when so this is why for the Tantrikas, death is such a blessing, because not because you are such a great practitioner, But because you are dying, your body, the nature is forcing you to touch the dharmata. And here is a really good chance. Finally, with the help of this thing, decay, you understand, and then you enter, and then supposedly end of time, space, whatever, liberation. Okay? But most of us, we bounce back. Then we have all these stages of the bardo. Stages of the bardo. We bounce. Okay, I'm fast forwarding a little bit. All the way to, parents in union. You see, because you are karmically also connected. And their semen and whatever, the substance meet. This is why again the sun and moon is important. There's too many details. And then you are conceived. Okay, so let's just start from there. Conception. Conceived. This conceived is being already purified. We are trying anyway by the syllable. And then you rise as the deity. Pregnancy, let's say 9 months or whatever. And then offerings, baby food, praise, or talk to babies nicely, house, toys. So that's your long answer for now, but really difficult. Break, and we come back in the heat. Yeah, maybe no break right now, and then break all. Yeah, can you tell the kitchen not to fry the samosa or whatever? Yeah. Whoever has the mic.
One question. Is the gas in front of you black of it? Is the gas? Sorry, I English not good.
Can someone translate, please?
仁波切，请教一下，你前面的玻璃杯破掉了，还是玻璃杯吗？
The question is, if the water glass in front of you is broken, is it still a glass?
Yes, it's broken glass. It's just kind of. Anyway, then what else? Who has the mic? Yeah.
Dear Rinpoche, thank you very much for this opportunity. In deities, we all try to personify our own ideal forms of life or behavior or ideals. Your thoughts on the negative ideals also are personified in the deities. Your thoughts on how to balance and how one looks at it.
Yeah. When in the Tantra you are not supposed to judge. That is the discipline. When a good thought comes, not to be adopting and getting excited and label them as good. When the bad, negative thoughts or action comes, that is the kind of method. That is what we will have to discipline ourselves with. Okay?
Rinpoche, can you speak a little bit to spiritual bypass in the context of practicing Vajrayana and all of its nuances?
Can you explain, Didi?
For instance, the concept of time, ultimate reality, and conventional reality, and how there are people who take these concepts and there's a misunderstanding around it.
That's what we have been discussing about the wisdom and method. And that's what I've been discussing about. This is going to be a difficult one. But this paradoxy is the quintessential thing. Not only actually Tantra, generally whole Buddha Dharma. Because for instance, Buddha Dharma talk about emptiness, but Buddha Dharma also talks about karma.
Yeah. I'm very nervous. I don't know if what I'm trying to say is going to come out properly. But I had a question about the bardo. Recently, my mom and my sister went to see a medium, talks to people in other realms. And I had a best friend who died over 10 years ago in a car accident. And she came to them, and she didn't really have much of a relationship with my mom and my sister, but she came and was talking with them. And I've been taught, we're all taught in Tibetan Buddhism what it's like to be in a bardo and how scary and confusing it is and how important practice is, so that we can become free within that state because it's so powerful. But she wasn't a practitioner, and it's on. And she wasn't a practitioner, but somehow she felt so. She kept saying, stop playing the movie of my death in your head. I'm so good. I'm so happy. She seemed so free. I listened to the recording of the session. I wasn't there, but she seemed so completely free, and she was giving this incredible advice, like, tell Marlena to stop running around and spending money, and she has everything she already needs inside of her. She doesn't need to chase after enlightenment, and giving all this profound advice. And I wonder, like, why are we taught this in Tibetan Buddhism, this scary kind of moment and period in our existence, and when for some people it seems like it's not, even if they're not practitioners. There's something else I want to say.
I think the idea of scary, maybe we will be not really, I don't know. Yes, bardo somehow ended up being presented as something scary. It's very. Bardo just means in between. This is also bardo. Okay, what is the biggest bardo? According to the bardo teaching, the biggest one is from the time you depart from that luminosity till the time you reach to that luminosity. So all this is bardo. Yeah. I think the scary one, I think we just have the clinging to whatever is the current reference and losing that current reference is always unsettling, you know, the family, I don't know, familiarity. These things are important, like address, like name, but actually before this we talked about something like a small death all the time. Between, you know, a thought comes just now and that goes. That's dead, so to speak. The next thought will be born. And in between that, there is actually the dharmata, the bardo of dharmata. And then the new thought will arise, bardo of becoming. And then this thought will become bigger. But of course, it's not the same thought, it's a continuity. And continuity is an illusion, as you know. It's always like a last year's river that you are looking at this year. Thinking is the same thing. But that is, you know, that's how we function. It's okay. It's not wrong for you to look at the same river that you went last year. I would agree. But in reality, it is not. The illusion of the continuity is very thing we call living also. And yes, that's it, the point. Not all the bardo beings are in pain as how we seem to describe. Many bardo beings are in some sort of a, what do you call it? They could be, you know, like on the larger sense, even the God realm, it's a part of the bardo, right? So they could be having a good time, good relative, okay? But for a tantrika, all these references are something that you need to transcend. Okay.
Rinpoche, I have a question.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you, when you give a transmission like Ninti Gyapshi, how does it affect your body, speech and mind?
My body, speech
Yeah.
and mind. Oh, this is very interesting question. So many aspects in this. If there are people who are adoring Mahasandhi, who are really, maybe not necessarily practicing, adoring, no wrong view towards the Mahasandhi, and therefore also no wrong view towards the lineage, all of that. You know, all those ladies, they will think, okay, good job. You understand? There are some ladies who, you know, they own the Yingti Gyapchi, you know, they sort of might actually ask us to do more, so to speak. Because at the end of the day, teachings such as this, the whole purpose is to awaken others, right? But on the other hand, if there is miscommunication, miscuing, misinterpretation, and then that leads to, what is it? Abandonment of the path, the lineage, then Those ladies, oh gosh, they are very petty sometimes and very moody, and they could, I don't know, on the most okay, I'll give you one example. Something that I myself would worry. They will somehow throw a virus in, I don't know, in my, through my nostril and make me really procrastinate everything. That is not so good. See, I'm now talking like a total superstitious, all of that, but actually not. Those ladies, oh my goodness, it's so powerful. It's evident, there's a lot of evidence in this. Okay, Chingri? Yes.
I've always wondered about the word deity. Why?
Hi, I've always wondered about the choice of the word deity, La. Like it's like God. Doesn't it cause a lot of confusion?
It does, a lot.
Why? Like, is it a mistranslation or is intentional?
I don't know, what can, since you are in that translation department, can you, and there's so many translators. Oh, actually, Jurme, what do you think is best? In French, at least. Shla.
Deity is a bit better than God.
Deity is a bit better than God.
Like, why Tibetans even call it Hla? Because I always thought it's Taoism when I first.
Yeah, Hla. Hla has also something to do with the La. La is something like above, but that's already not good, right? It's difficult. Is there any better word than deity for the Deva? But the Sanskrit word Deva also is very Deva, Devi, It's difficult.
Rinpoche, you mentioned about blessings, and also at the end of the transmission, we were instructed to read to the lineage and to receive the blessings. And because of that, I wanted to ask, could you explain what are the blessings and how to receive them? And I think it is said that it is dependent on the faith and devotion of the one who prays.
Okay.
And how would you advise to nourish our faith and devotion?
Actually, I have a very clear answer. I would say, I talked about feeling awkward and feeling just unsettled even though you are successful and you are healthy and you are thriving, but you still feel there has to be something more than this. That is a very important blessing. I think we should have that more and more. That's a big one, big blessing. Much more important than longevity, sharpness in your mind, good health. Much more important. Who cares about longevity and good health? Because you could end up becoming more stupid. But this feeling awkward, this can't be all there is. This is so good. And then longing for shunyata, longing for non-duality, longing for this, while not discarding fun, discipline, and the means, like a wealth. Also, at the same time, knowing all these are kind of pointless. Longing for that kind of attitude towards life, these are blessings. Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Rinpoche. How do we differentiate between the pride of being a deity and self-grasping ignorance?
Can you hold on to that question? Because this is part of the sadhana, very much. At the end, there is a dissolution practice. You have to dissolve as a deity. If we could do that with our pride, no difference. Okay, should we take a break now? Yeah, and then we come back for a short time, and then, I don't know, is that okay? Should we come back? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, because I think we are doing non-sadhana today, right? Tonight we are doing something like pure gold. And so I want to finish a little bit about the sadhana. Okay, just very short session. And the lady who asked the last question, kind of important, the Vajra pride of being the deity. This is very good. I think I've already stressed quite a lot about how important it is to have both wisdom and method in union. So so I've already talked about during the sadhana, sort of clear, detailed visualization is encouraged, but more importantly, encouraged is pride of being the deity, confidence of being the deity. But then the next step, even more important, is the illusory aspect of this deity. So this is what you needed to hear. And the example is usually given like this. When you think of the deity, the details of the deity, you should think in terms like a reflection of yourself in the mirror or reflection of the moon in the lake. It's there, but it's also not there simultaneously. So many examples like this are given. Shahaja, co-emergent, simultaneously arising. So it's like this moon and the reflection of the moon. It's there and it's not there. The sahaja, the simultaneous. Sarjindu tongpa tongjindu sa, sarjindu tongpa tongjindu salva. There's so many expressions like this, very, very valuable for the sadhana practitioner. Of course, ideally, we need to apply this kind of wisdom or attitude towards life in general. I mean, we don't even need to go to the Tantra. Even in the Mahayana, I think I've given this example so many times, but I actually like this example. like having a short nap of 5 minutes, having a long dream of going to a Starbucks coffee, order 10 cups of coffee of different kinds, and getting them and coming back with everything what you ordered. And just because it's a dream, it does not violate the fact that it's a 10 cups. It's not 9 cups, it's 10 cups. It's not 1 cup, it's all there. And everything what you ordered, hazelnut, I don't know, a cinnamon taste, with milk, without milk, ice, all there intact. But from the time you went to Starbucks coffee till you wake up, nothing has happened. None of this sort of exists. Really? Not exists? I can't really say. You went, you ordered, you even drank, you shared. All of that happened. So I can't really also outrightly say, oh, it never happened. You know, it happened in a certain way, on a certain level. This is how the Mahayana people think the life, generally whole Buddhists think life works like this. You are sitting there, I'm sitting here. Of course, right now you will adamantly sort of insist that you are there and I'm here. If I ask Praveen to sit here, he will refuse. Even though in private there is photo evidence that he sat on the throne. Photo evidence. So, this, is how it is. What is it? This is actually what in tantric language called upanikrama. So it's actually a practice. Cherim, we call it cherim, upanikrama. It's a creation, you visualize all of that. But I still want to answer that question, what's the difference? So, what's the difference of thinking, having an excessive pride of who you are, like as an artist, as a doctor, as a lawyer, whatever, as just, Tom, Harry, whatever, or versus being a deity. Even on the relative level, there is some difference, quite a lot of difference. And the difference is information and marketing, actually. You have been marketed as whoever you are. And that result is usually, whatever, the success, whatever the reference you have as a lawyer, as a doctor, as a student, as a wife, as a husband. But on the other hand, the deities from the beginning, it should be actually, is marketed as the union of wisdom and method, as the union of emptiness and luminosity. So the impact has to be different. And moreover, Tantra will argue, let's say you are, Louise, and you think you are Louise. And the Tantra will argue, say, no, actually, that's a made up. It has nothing behind. There's nothing, valuable. You are actually Tara. You just never realized. And then you ask, who is Tara? And then the argument of Tathagata Garbha, and all of that. So the Tantric will say that thinking you are deity is more closer, it's being more authentic. is being more truer to yourself than thinking you are Louise or whatever identity you have. Okay, now all sadhanas, as I said earlier, come to conclusion of dissolving. This is a big part of the sadhana, which a lot of the sadhakas, practitioners, they sort of, because there's nothing really much to practice, there's no ritual. This is the part of what we call sampanikrama, which is resolution. So the deity that you have constructed, you have visualized, are all dissolved gradually or instantly, depending on different sadhanas, and then stay in the state of dharmata, dharmakaya, or whatever you want to call it, in that union of emptiness and luminosity as much as you can. Okay? We have to pay some attention to this. So, okay, let's say gradually the lotus dissolve into the moon disk dissolve into you, your body, your attributes such as the flower or the sword, if you are practicing Manjushri, dissolve into you, crown, jewels, or dissolve into body, garments dissolve into your body. Body also slowly dissolve, either from the top or from the bottom, or from both, slowly dissolve into this, let's say, the moon disk inside your heart, if there is. Then the moon disk again dissolve into the Vajra, if there is. Then the Vajra dissolve into the Sid syllable, let's say like a Hri or a Hung. And then this Hung also slowly dissolve into the circle. And then the circle dissolve into the Nadi, sort of a stroke. And then stroke also dissolves. And then, see, it's a really good exercise of death, if you want to call it. I'm using very raw language. And then stay there. Stay there as much as you can. That could be, for beginners, 2 seconds. Of course. So, after 2 seconds, maybe you would think about, I don't know, blue cheese or your next appointment. But then, the sadhaka, what they do is, instead of letting the blue cheese or the, I don't know, paneer tikka or cup of tea invade, before it invade in you, before it enters you, you take over, rise as a deity. That is, you control your rebirth, so to speak. You control. So this is an exercise. So this you can, and then, okay, you are still not perfect being, you are not a Mahasiddha, meaning what? You have to pay bills. That's the difference between the Mahasiddha and the ordinary beings. You have to pay bills. There are a few differences, such as, Mahasiddhas, they probably have mouth, but they don't have asshole. So nothing goes down. Whereas we do have. So we need to fill it up again. It's just terrible, isn't it? We need to plan, we need to schedule, we need to just do all these things. So, sure, we understand this. So what do? We do what we call post meditation. It's also sadhana, by the way. This is another part of the sadhana that is being forgotten by the practitioner a lot. So, okay, you want to chew I don't know, you want to eat a samosa? Then eat samosa as a deity. It's an exercise, So basically you constantly tell yourself you are the deity and all of that. Of course, I want to tell you not to, rush too much. It's not going to have immediate impact as how you wish. But even a momentary thinking and having a confidence that you are a deity, as I told you yesterday, the rows of ants running after another, disrupted, like that, even a moment of being a deity will have an impact. And just a few more, just the sign of impact of the sadhana. Well, the first impact will be you will be torn. Should I go to the birthday party of my cousin? It's so useless. So what is it for? Should I go? Then you decided to go. And then for that party you need to wear a certain outfit. And you do it sort of, I don't know, maybe reluctantly in the beginning. Reluctant, because you see the useless, you kind of see the uselessness. Then after a few years, you go to the party, you wear all of this, but with a little bit of thinking, it is such a joke, like a humor, everything is a humor. Everything is like, after a certain year of practice, then you actually go to party. Try to go to all the parties. Make sure that people invite you, and you really spend 4 hours putting a right outfit and right makeup, because you then have already seen the uselessness and the illusory aspect of it, and then it is actually even more fun and more enjoyable, and there's also an agenda. There's a vested interest. There's an interest of turning everything into the Aryatara or whatever, the deity. And as you go to the party, if there's a gatekeeper who doesn't allow you, perfectly fine. Next party you go, or whatever, you never feel rejected. So Mahasiddha is basically no more fear of missing out and no more feeling rejected. That is Mahasiddha. And no need to apologize, but you will be so polite. And I don't know, without putting any effort, you actually end up becoming like a magnet for others. Because on the most fundamental level, people will think you are harmless. Because you have no agenda, or only agenda you have is the bodhicitta. So now tonight, I think, are we doing the Serjin Yingbudo? Yeah, the pure gold? Are we doing tonight? It's not because I've become a Mahasiddha that I'm losing time. It's just, I'm so bad with schedule. schedules, appointments. Please, can you not be too, tough on my assistants? Because all my assistants, many times they know the last. Before the others already knew what's happening and they know the last. So tonight I think we are talking about the pure gold, which should be very, very, Mahayana. But having received the, this sadhana introduction, you can always hear it through the tantric ear, tantric understanding. Yes, this is the thing. This is what Longchenpa said. Once you have become the Mahasandhi practitioner, very matured, somebody would be reading a phone book and you will, each and every word, it will be inspiring. And each and every word will be very, fascinating. Phone book is actually fascinating. We don't have this anymore, do we? So sad. We used to have something called a yellow page, that thick book. No more joy of going through the pages? Okay. Well, Mahasiddha, Mahasandhi practitioners, tantric practitioners will be able to, but that does not mean that Mahasandhi practitioners or the Mahasiddhas will create a lot of hodgepodge, sort of, what do you call it? Mishmash? What? No, they won't. They will not serve sushi with chips. They will say sushi is sushi, chips is chips, hamburger is hamburger, like that. Okay. If you have one or two questions, it's fine. Maybe two questions, I have time, and then...
Thank you, Rinpoche. You're so generous. I'm wondering about, with the monastic vow, how it's said that the vow has some kind of form, like...
Oh yeah.
Right? Is that, when we get to Abhisheka, when we are doing the practice, is there this kind of imprint so that when we are in that state...
Yeah, if you are talking about the Vinaya, the Vinaya authority really is very much, it's held by the Shadvaka or the Theravada, or more classic term is something like a Vabhyashika or Sautrantika schools. They have the authority. And this is why, obviously, in places like Sri Lanka, Burma, the Vinaya and the Abhidharma, I would say, so they really have the, knowledge, know-how. They have the authority on this. In the Vinaya tradition, also related to the Abhidharma, the monastic, like a bhikshu and bhikshuni, kind of ordination is, this is a very, very classic view of Vabhyashika school of Buddhism. They say that it's something to, it's a form. It's like Number rigje mind be zuk. I think, I don't know how to translate. There must be a translation in English. What is it? What? Mental formation. Yeah. Number rigje mind be zuk. Anyway, there is this. There is it's a really big study, and it's a brilliant idea. Actually, it's a brilliant. See, okay, I just give you an example. Bodhisattva vow you can take from now till enlightenment. Bodhisattva vow. So you can die, and the next time when you're reborn as a butterfly or as a, I don't know, whatever, you are still a bodhisattva unless you have given up or broken it. But a bhikshu vow is related to form, actually. So it can only be end when you die, unless you have broken it. And therefore, you cannot take a monk's vow now and then reborn as a baby monk. You understand? So on and so forth. There is a, Vinaya is a really, really, I think, just recently I was discussing with somebody that now, with all the, for some strange reason, especially in America, the morality and ethic is becoming a big, big issue. You know, all that legal, legit morality, ethic, secular ethic, and all of that. I think they should pay some attention to the study of Abhidharma and Vinaya, because it has lots of things that will solve so many problems. But it's a very hard study. Okay.
That is more in alignment with Vajrayana. So when you get the Abhishek.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Is it an imprint?
No. Now, when you talk to the Abhidharma, then when you go to the Bodhisattva level, already that is almost, well, according to many scholars, like, it's like that kind of concept is outshined, because in Bodhisattva vow, mind is more important. Right? Now to the Vajrayana. Now in the Vajrayana, this is why they do talk about the body. I think you are talking about the Vaka, Kaya Vajra, the Kaya form, body, Vajra, indestructible body. Now that is a little bit different from this thing that you are talking earlier. It's a little different. We are talking about unsplittable nature of all phenomena. That's what they are talking about.
Just one last thing. So the deity, instead of the word deity, I offer the word avatar.
Avatar, okay.
And if that's the case, the Kaya Vajra, is that the same or is it?
Yeah, the only thing is there's the Dharmakaya and the Sambhogakaya thing. It might not cover it. Okay, Nick, and that will, I think we will have to go. Nick?
Thank you, Rinpoche. You said that the seed syllable dissolves into the nadi, and then the nadi dissolves into the stroke. Can you say more about what that is?
Stroke. I think if you cook an egg, I think you will learn this.
With clothes or with?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.